The city was a beast of steel and glass, its underbelly a labyrinth of shadows and secrets. Neon serpents slithered along towering structures, casting an eerie glow on the perpetual drizzle. Abigail was a creature of this underbelly, a ghost moving through the city's veins. Orphaned by a synth virus outbreak, she learned to survive on wits and will alone. She was 12 when she first felt it, a flicker in her fingertips, a tingle that was both fear and exhilaration. It was during a raid on a corporate supply depot, a desperate gamble for survival. A guard, weapon drawn, froze mid-step. A vase, shattered by a stray bullet, reformed itself in midair. Then it was gone, as fleeting as a neon reflection. Fear gripped her tighter than the city's smog. Magic. It was a myth, a whisper in the shadows. But in her hands, it was a reality, a dangerous, unpredictable force. Abigail knew she had to keep her newfound power a secret. In the neon jungle, magic was a currency more valuable than gold, and more dangerous than the sharpest blade. The corporations had a monopoly on the arcane arts, and wielding it without their stamp meant a swift trip to the recyclers. Her curiosity grew like a wild vine, choking the fear. Magic was the key to escape, the means to climb the gleaming skyscrapers that taunted her with their opulence. The whispers grew into a siren's call, guiding her to the outskirts of the city, where the steel giants met the forgotten earth. There, in a dilapidated library, buried under the weight of forgotten knowledge, she found Zane. He was a relic, a man who had once danced in the corporate spotlight but had since retreated into the shadows. His eyes, a vibrant cyan, held the weight of lost battles and forgotten dreams. When he saw the spark in her, the untamed magic crackling around her like electricity, he knew she was the one. The one who could tip the scales, who could challenge the corporate overlords. "Your power is wild," he told her, his voice a soft rumble. "It needs guidance, or it will consume you." Abigail nodded, the gravity of his words pressing on her shoulders like the very city above. The decision was made. She would learn from Zane, become a mage, and fight for a world where the sky wasn't a prison ceiling. The lessons began in the hidden depths of the city, where the neon glow couldn't reach. In a room that smelled of ozone and ancient tomes, Zane taught her to harness the storm within. Magic was a dance, a symphony of the soul, and she was the untrained musician playing by ear. It was chaotic, but with each note she struck, she grew more in tune with the rhythm of the world around her. One night, as they practiced, the air thickened with tension. The whispers grew louder, morphing into a chant that echoed through the city's arteries. A message, a warning, a declaration of war. Rowena's corporation had caught wind of the rogue magic. They were coming for her, and for the secrets she threatened to expose. Abigail's heart raced as Zane's eyes grew dark with urgency. "We must leave," he said, "and fast." The neon serpents outside grew restless, as if sensing the change in the air. The city was on the brink of a revelation, and they were about to be its catalyst. The two of them, a girl with a heart full of hope and a man with a past full of shadows, were about to dive into a world where magic was king, and the only law was survival. Together, they disappeared into the night, leaving behind the echoes of their footsteps and the fading glow of the neon rain. The city above was their battleground, and the fate of the world rested on their shoulders, a burden as heavy as the rain-soaked sky. Abigail's mind raced with questions as they moved through the shadows. Who was Rowena? What did she want with the artifacts? And why did Zane's eyes darken at the mention of the corporation? His silence was a fortress, but she knew he had answers. They took refuge in an abandoned subway station, the air thick with the scent of rust and forgotten dreams. In the flickering light of a makeshift fire, Zane began to unravel the threads of his past. "Rowena," he spat. "She's the queen of this concrete hell. Her corporation controls the magic, and with it, the city." He paused, his gaze drifting to the flickering flames. Once, I was one of her pawns, a mage for hire, doing her bidding. But I saw the truth, the way they exploit the power, the way they control the people. So, I left, took my knowledge, and went underground. The flames cast shadows across Zane's face, highlighting the lines of regret etched into his skin. The artifacts you've been hearing about, they're more than just relics. They're the key to a power so great, it could either save this world or destroy it. The gravity of his words sank in, and Abigail felt the weight of the city pressing down on her. She had unknowingly stepped into a game of gods and monsters, and she was the wild card. As they honed her magic, Zane spoke of the Great Catastrophe, a cataclysmic event that had reshaped the world. Magic had been unleashed, and the corporations had risen from the ashes to control it. The city was a monument to their greed, a gleaming tomb for nature's last breath. The whispers grew louder, the neon serpents more restless. Rowena's reach was extending, her enforcers closing in. The air was charged with anticipation, the city holding its breath. Abigail's power grew with each passing day, her control over the magic tightening like a noose. The time was coming when they would have to face Rowena, when the secrets of the city's past would be laid bare, and the future of the world would hang in the balance. The night before the final confrontation, Zane handed her a device, a tangle of wires and crystals that hummed with energy. This, he said, is the key to their power. With it, we can bring them down. But it will not be easy. Her hand trembled as she took the device, the weight of the world heavy in her palm. She knew what she had to do. For the first time in her life, Abigail felt a spark of hope, a warmth that burned brighter than the neon jungle above. They emerged from the shadows into the gleaming heart of the city, the neon serpents watching them with bated breath. The rain had stopped, and the sky above was a canvas of dark secrets. It was time to write their own story, to fight for a world where the sky wasn't just a prison ceiling, but a gateway to freedom. Abigail's eyes darted around, taking in the gleaming towers that had once felt so untouchable. Now, they were merely obstacles to be scaled, fortresses to be breached. Zane's hand was a comforting presence at her back, his own magic a silent promise that she wasn't alone. The plan was simple: infiltrate Rowena's headquarters, disable the device that controlled the city's magic, and expose the truth to the people. But simple didn't mean easy. They'd have to navigate a gauntlet of corporate enforcers, cybernetic sentinels, and magical wards that would make even the most seasoned mage pause. The first hurdle was the perimeter defense, a swarm of drones that patrolled the skies like vultures. Zane's fingers danced over a small tablet, hacking into their systems with a grace that belied his years of isolation. One by one, the drones fell from the sky, their lights extinguished like dying stars. They moved swiftly, sticking to the shadows, the glow of the neon jungle guiding their path. The closer they got to the tower, the stronger the whispers grew, the magic in the air pulsing with a desperate urgency. Abigail could feel the city's pain, its yearning for release from the corporate vice grip. The lobby was a gleaming bastion of opulence, a stark contrast to the decay they'd left behind. The guards, dressed in chrome armor, eyed them suspiciously, but Zane's illusions held firm. They slipped past unnoticed, the whispers of their approach muffled by the hum of the tower's lifeblood, magic-infused technology that pulsed through the very walls. In the heart of the tower, the device loomed, a monolith of gleaming black metal, veins of neon light pulsing in a hypnotic rhythm. It was beautiful and terrifying, a symbol of power and oppression. Abigail felt the magic in her core resonate with it, a siren's call she had to resist. They set to work, Zane disarming the complex wards with a series of soft incantations and precise gestures, while Abigail held the crystal key, her pulse beating in time with the artifact's energy. The whispers grew to a crescendo, and the air crackled with anticipation. As the final ward fell, the device's neon veins began to pulse erratically. The floor trembled, and the lights flickered. The city was waking up, its magic stirring from a forced slumber. The whispers grew to a roar, the neon serpents outside coiling in anticipation of the storm to come. Abigail slammed the crystal into the device's core, and the world around them shuddered. The neon lights flickered and died, plunging the tower into darkness. For a moment, there was silence, a prelude to the chaos that was about to be unleashed. And then, the skies above the city split open, revealing a glimpse of the stars that had been hidden for so long. Magic surged through the streets, through the people, through the essence of the city itself. It was a rebirth, a revolution, and it had begun with a single act of defiance. The neon serpents writhed in the sky, their lights going haywire as the city's magic was set free. The corporate enforcers stumbled, their control over the arcane suddenly tenuous. The whispers grew to a deafening roar, and the tower trembled as the very fabric of the city shifted. Their job was done. The city was in turmoil, but it was a turmoil of change, of hope. The oppressive weight of the corporate regime was lifting, and the people were beginning to rise. But Rowena would not go quietly. They could feel her fury from the top of the tower, a dark maelstrom gathering in the penthouse suite. The final battle was yet to come, and it would be one for the ages. Abigail and Zane sprinted through the disoriented halls, the air thick with the scent of ozone and fear. The elevator doors parted with a hiss, revealing a floor bathed in a crimson glow. The once pristine walls were scarred with ancient runes, pulsing with dark energy. Rowena waited for them, her eyes ablaze with power. She was a vision of corporate elegance gone mad. Her once sleek attire now tattered, her hair wild and crackling with energy. "You dare to defy me?" she snarled, her voice echoing through the room. "We dare to fight for freedom," Abigail retorted, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. Magic surged around her, a storm of pure potential, and she knew this was her moment. The battle was fierce, a dance of light and shadow as Zane and Rowena clashed. The air crackled with spells and counterspells, the floor trembling beneath their feet. The city's newfound magic swirled around them, a tempest waiting to be unleashed. Abigail watched, heart racing, as Zane parried and weaved, his movements a blur of grace and power. Yet, Rowena was relentless, her corporate-enhanced abilities pushing him to the brink. In a flash of desperation, Abigail stepped forward, her eyes locking with Rowena's. The raw power within her coalesced into a single, brilliant arc of light. With a scream that echoed through the tower, she unleashed it at the corporate queen. The impact was like a sonic boom, the room shaking as the light collided with Rowena's shields. For a heartbeat, the world was still, the air thick with the anticipation of victory or defeat. Then, the shield shattered, and Rowena stumbled back, her mask of invincibility cracking. Zane saw the opening and struck, his magic a bolt of pure force that sent her hurtling through the window. They rushed to the shattered frame, their hearts pounding in unison. The neon serpents coiled around the tower, their light dimming as the magic drained from the corporate bastion. Below, the city roared to life. The oppressed were rising, the streets a tapestry of revolt. The sky above was alight with the newfound magic, a beacon of change that could not be contained. Together, they looked out at the chaos, the neon rain washing away the old world. It was the dawn of a new era, one where magic didn't belong to the few, but to the many. Their eyes met, and Abigail felt a bond stronger than any steel. They had started a revolution, a war that would reshape the very essence of the world. And as the sun struggled to break through the clouds for the first time in memory, Abigail whispered, "Let's go make some history." Zane nodded, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. They descended the tower, the winds of change at their backs, ready to face whatever the city had in store. The end was just the beginning, and the story of Abigail and Zane was one that would be told for generations to come. A tale of hope in a world of steel and shadows, of a girl who looked up at the sky and decided she would not be caged, and the man who taught her to fly. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing to stay updated with our latest stories, give us a like if you want to see more, and drop a comment below to let us know your thoughts.